Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final concert in our spring series. My name is Angelina, and we are the Rockway Entertainers. We're a group of seniors who get together every Thursday afternoon and sing under the expert direction of Jean Galbraith, who coaxes, cajoles, and sometimes threatens the best performances we can give, accompanied by another expert, Barbara Kellerman. No matter what key or what note we try to sing, Barbara plays it. Thank you from all of us. You will have noticed the mural on the wall behind us, beautifully crafted by Janice Cornfield and Patrice Bruckner. After the performance, please take a closer look at it and the family trees of many of the choir members on the back walls, illustrating our diverse ethnicities. This year is the 150th anniversary of Canada as a confederation. Many of us here today have either come from another country or are children and grandchildren of immigrants, and we're all proud Canadians. Our concert consists mostly of Canadian-themed songs, some of which you will recognize. Hello. Hello. The piece we just sang, They All Call It Canada, was written by Freddie Grant, a German national who became a Canadian citizen in 1945 after surviving that horrific war. We continue our program with a wonderful song called Something to Sing About. It was composed in 1970 by Oscar Brand. He was born in Winnipeg to Romanian parents who had immigrated to Canada in the early 1900s. They farmed a small section outside of Winnipeg, and they loved Canada. It was originally written for Oscar's parents and was entitled This Land of Ours. It's one of several that have become unofficial national anthems. New rendition, Darlene Bassey, Dolores Benedict, Gloria Lum, and Darlene Peck will sing their version of a 1950s tune, I Believe. It was #1 on the hit parade for 18 weeks in 1952, and it would have been a lot longer if they had heard this version.
believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe, I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the grave somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe.
Oh, Christmas is long past, winter also, we hope, and certainly these last few days. Huron Carol is so quintessentially Canadian that we want to sing it every chance we get. The words were written around 1643 by Jean de Brebeuf, a Jesuit missionary. He lived with the Hurons near what is now Midland, Ontario, and wrote the carol in the Huron language Wyandot. 150 years later, it was translated into French by another Jesuit, and finally into English in 1926 by Jesse Edgar Middleton. Jean de Brebeuf employed Wyandot words for our more familiar ones. For example, instead of a stable, he wrote a lodge of broken bark, a robe of rabbit skin instead of swaddling clothes, and hunters instead of shepherds. It's the first known Canadian Christmas carol. I found the original words in Wyandot, but our director is the only one who can pronounce them, or at least some of them. Maybe by Christmas this year we will have learned to sing the original, right? Diane Girard is our resident francophone. The song she will sing is a lament written in 1842, a few years after the Lower Canada and Acadian Rebellion. The words recount a young man's pain at being exiled from his beloved country. It is hauntingly beautiful.
We have power. Getting used to these things. Okay.
Canada has thousands of rivers, some of them well known worldwide. The St. Lawrence, the Mackenzie, Kicking Horse, and our very own Grand River. The Mackenzie is the longest and largest river system in Canada and third in the world. The St. Lawrence was the best means of transportation between Upper and Lower Canada in the 1800s. It was the route for the huge freight canoes carrying furs and other goods. Kicking Horse River in British Columbia travels 22 kilometers between high rock walls and is one of the best whitewater rafting experiences in Canada, if not the world. Here in Ontario, we have over 2,000 major rivers. The Grand, a Canadian heritage river, is one of them. It has a watershed area that drains over 7,000 square kilometers from its source near Dundalk to Dunville, where it empties into Lake Erie. It was one of the major reasons for settlement by Europeans in the early 18th century, and had been for thousands of years before that a major source of food and transportation for the first peoples of the area. River songs have been sung in this country for a long, long time, and we're continuing that tradition today. Lazy River was composed by Hobie Carmichael in 1930, and more recently has been a hit with famous Canadians like Michael Bublé, Diana Krall, and us. Cry Me a River was written in 1953 by Arthur Hamilton. Many Canadian artists have recorded this one also, but there's one recording not done by a Canadian, but you might find it interesting. Remember the old 45s? Crystal Gale had a single hit called, wait for it, Why Did You Leave the One You Left Me For? Cry Me a River was on the B side. I'd cry a river just trying to remember the words. Following our journeys down the rivers, Sunny Chan will sing Amazing Grace in Mandarin and in English, a great example of how a new Canadian enhances our lives. And then Don Linsman with his rendition of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Maybe I've been here before, I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name. But if I did, well really, what's it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you heard. The holy or the broken, hallelujah. 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 I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
The next few songs are probably very familiar to most of you, and we would welcome your joining in, especially for Jack the Sailor and Eyes the By. We had a lot of fun rehearsing them. Big Yellow Taxi was written and performed in 1970 by another well-known Canadian, Joni Mitchell. In 2007, it was voted number 9 on the CBC's list of top 50 Canadian songs. Farewell to Nova Scotia, Jack the Sailor, and Eyes the By are East Coast folk songs well known across the English-speaking world. Australians especially love to serenade visiting Canadians who venture into one of their pubs. There are many songs originating in Newfoundland, but most of us would be hard-pressed to recognize the words. One phrase is particularly relevant for our salute to Canada. Who kint ya? Who are your parents? Who kinned you? It's believed Farewell to Nova Scotia was written just prior to or during World War I, but didn't come to prominence until 1933, just in time for World War II. It's a beautiful lament. Eyes the By, on the other hand, is pure fun. Probably first sung by fishermen having a cold one after a long, long time at sea. The story of Jonah and the whale is given a spin that leaves the whale a little bit not faring so well. Patrice Bruckner is our very own spoons player, taught by a Newfoundlander. The words to 3 great Canadian songs are on the sheet you have. Don Linsman will lead all of us in singing them. If anyone would like to stretch their legs, please do so, but keep singing. When we all recovered from that adventure, Bob Kerr. Now, Bob has been trying to teach me how to say his last name correctly, and I'm supposed to roll the R's. So I think we should all try it, not just me. So it's Bob Kerr. Bob is a proud Scotsman who became a proud Canadian in 1980, the same year, incidentally, that O Canada officially became our national anthem. And Bob's going to sing a few of his Scottish songs. I'm sure there are a few here who share his Scottish roots and will join him in the choruses.
Give me spots on my